This is a key stage 3 chemical structures video looking at exothermic and endothermic reactions. And this is quite difficult to explain, so we're just looking at an introduction to exothermic and endothermic reactions. Now, generally speaking, we can say that exothermic reactions are the reactions, chemical reactions, that release energy to the surroundings as heat. Now, the difficult bit to explain is how does that heat get released? What is it that causes that heat for it to be released to the atmosphere? Now, in any chemical reaction, you have to think of it as all the bonds need to break before they can make new bonds and form new products. And if we look at this graph here, this is the amount of energy that the reactants had. And this section of the graph here leading up to the top is the amount of energy needed to break bonds. And this part of the graph here coming down to where the products are is the amount of energy needed to make bonds. So we break bonds and we make bonds. Now, breaking bonds is an endothermic reaction. It needs energy to happen. And making bonds is an exothermic reaction. It releases energy. So we can see overall in this particular reaction, there's more energy involved in making bonds than breaking bonds. So because making bonds is exothermic, overall we would describe this as an exothermic reaction. So let's go through the writing on the card. Breaking bonds requires energy and therefore is endothermic. Making bonds releases energy and that is therefore exothermic. In exothermic reactions, more energy is released in making bonds than the energy needed to break bonds. Okay, so overall we would describe that as an exothermic reaction. Let's have a look at an endothermic reaction. Same situation, okay? The first part of the graph is about breaking bonds. The second part of the graph is about making bonds. You've got to break bonds before you can make bonds. Now, an endothermic reaction we would describe as a reaction that takes in energy from the surroundings. So if we were to measure the temperature of an endothermic reaction, the temperature would decrease as the reaction took place. So you can see greater energy in breaking the bonds than in making the bonds over this side. So we can say because bond breaking is endothermic and bond making is exothermic, that this is an endothermic reaction. Okay, more energy, more endothermic energy here, more energy gone into breaking the bonds than into making the bonds. Okay, so let's read the card. Breaking bonds requires energy and is therefore endothermic. Making bonds releases energy and is therefore exothermic. In endothermic reactions, more energy is needed to break the bonds than the energy needed to make the bonds. So overall, we describe this reaction as endothermic. Hope you found that useful. Thank you.